Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar call. We're going to get started here in just a minute, but before we do, if you would be so kind as to confirm that you can both hear my voice as well as see my screen, we can get started. If you could just confirm that in the chat box, that would be great. Thank you. All right, Dean is saying yes, Steve is saying yes. Hello, guys. Welcome, everyone. Also, welcome to all of the new VooPlayer users. Throughout the last week, we had a huge influx of new users. So if any of you are attending the webinar, welcome, and we're glad that you are joining the VooPlayer community. So we're holding these VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar calls in order to answer any questions that you as users may have, especially as new users. Sometimes new systems can be confusing, so we're trying to alleviate that. Also, to provide training on any advanced features that you find confusing or too difficult to set up. Also to showcase any of the new stuff that we've been working on, and finally to gather feedback from you guys as users on how we can continue to improve VooPlayer. All right, so my name is Peter. I am the product manager of VooPlayer, and I'll be holding this webinar today. All right, so the format of the webinar is pretty simple. At any time that you have a question, or if you came with prepared questions, now would be a good time to just paste those questions or type them out in the chat box, and we'll start answering them in the order that they come in. Until such time, there's a couple of things that I wanted to discuss, and also we have a couple of prepared questions from the Facebook group and also from the chat support. So let's start getting into that. So on the last week's webinar call, I was discussing the possibility of VooPlayer adding the ability to upload MP3 files or audio files directly to VooPlayer and host them as such. So this is something that's been asked again and again by people who work primarily with audio but want to leverage all of the great marketing features that VooPlayer offers, as well as the customization of the player. So if you're holding podcasts or audio sessions of any kind, you will very soon be able to upload MP3 files directly to VooPlayer. So this is an example of such a file. You're probably not going to be able to hear it, but actually, I can do this. So in addition to the ability to upload an MP3 file, also because you're able to kind of select which image you want as the background, but even that is somewhat static, and that is why with this feature we're also going to be releasing the ability to visualize the audio throughout your player, and this is going to be for now in the beta features and completely customizable, so that this way you're able to kind of determine which style of audio visualization you prefer for your player. Again, you're going to be able to customize the image which is in the background, and also to customize the visualization style, and we're still kind of playing around with that, seeing what are some of the best options to facilitate that audio visualization within the file. So that's, as I said, something that's been asked for again and again, and we are nearing this release very soon. Also, I mentioned the ability that we're going to start allowing you to create multiple access accounts, sort of like a team access account for VooPlayer, and that is also going to be enabled really soon in VooPlayer, and that's going to have to wait until next week, since we've been really swamped with questions from all of the new users which came in throughout last week. That's been a lot of pressure put on both support and the application to facilitate all of those new users. So that's what we've been dealing with. All right, so I had a couple of questions which were asked before the webinar. One of them is, I accidentally grouped my video in the wrong group. How can I remove it from a group? So the ability in VooPlayer to add videos to a group can be done in numerous ways. So when you are creating a new video, you can decide which group you want to put it in, or alternatively, if you're already created a video, you are able to manipulate those groups through the Hey, it looks like we might have lost visual and audio connection there for a second. So if you can just confirm that we're back, you can see and hear me again, that'd be great. Hopefully you can. Just to go back to the original question, which I was answering, was the ability to manage the groups of videos, and that can be done both through the dashboard and from the individual player settings. So if you want to manage that from the dashboard, you can select all of the videos which you want to work on, and then you can group them from there. Alternatively, if you want to remove a video from an existing group, then you are able to just click over here on this little folder which says manage groups, and that will show you the list of all of the individual groups for that video, and you can remove videos from groups that way. So you can group them by selecting one on the dashboard and then grouping them, and if they're already grouped, you can just click on manage groups in the group column. Kevin is saying that there is only silence. So hopefully, Kevin, maybe you can try refreshing the webinar, and that way it's going to come back. Hopefully it's back for everybody else. Dean is saying it's back. Brad is saying it's back. Steve is saying it's back. So Kevin, maybe you can refresh the webinar, and got it now. All right, cool. I don't even know why I was talking to you if you couldn't hear me, expecting somehow that you would be able to hear my instructions if audio is not working for you. All right, cool. So that's it for managing groups, and that's the only question which we had prior to the webinar. So let me just come back to the group and see if we had any other questions. None thus far. Guys, if you have anything that you would like to talk about with regards to VooPlayer, or anything that you're curious, especially if there's anybody new and joining and you're wondering why something in Vue Player is the way it is, we would gladly answer that at this point. So if you have any questions, do let us know. In the meantime, if nothing comes up, we'll just pull up some of our support stuff maybe to see what are some of the issues which we've been faced with recently, so that I can include them in this webinar, so that you are and future users are able to get to, let's see, some of the questions which we're getting, mostly sales stuff. Alan has a question. How long will the option to go to the legacy Vue be around, and why? Not for very long. Why that option is there is primarily for people who want to go back and perhaps edit some of their videos. So if they are searching for Vue Player, the majority of people who come to the Vue Player homepage, for example, are basically doing this. So they open up their browser and they type in Vue Player, and they get the result for the homepage, and they click on the homepage, and then they click on a login. So there are still some legacy users who are wanting to go back to their old version of Vue Player and edit the videos, which are currently hosted in that version, which is why we're kind of also providing with this link, which is log into the old version of Vue Player. And there is even some people who still haven't migrated, so that's why that option is available here. How long will it be available for? Honestly, I don't know. We might not make it as prominent as it is now, as it's definitely taking up a lot of real estate and a lot of priority. So we haven't really given it much thought with regards to eliminating that option, but we will start doing that soon. So we might probably just deprioritize that in the interface and maybe hide it somewhere else, just so it's not obstructing anyone else. I think that option is also available over here from the demo. Yeah, old version of Vue Player. All right, let me see if we have any other questions. William, will a geolocation be pushed with the future personification feature? So the personification feature, which we were discussing by leveraging viewers' social media profiles in order to get some custom content in the video. So imagine opening up a video and that video saying, "Hi, Peter, how are you today? Would you like to buy my product?" or whatever. So will geolocation be pushed with that feature? So I'm just trying to kind of combine. So if you wanted to say, hey, here are all of the cool new stores which just opened in Ohio or in Chicago or whatever, yeah, I don't see why not, because we're kind of already holding that data and we have it available within the within our analytics. So just adding an additional variable for the location, I think we would be able even to go as far as the city level on location. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that we're going to incorporate into that personalization feature. We haven't so since the demo for the country, state, city, yeah. So since the demo for that feature, nobody has really mentioned or asked about that. So that's kind of why that feature fell off of our radar. But if you guys are really interested in utilizing something like that, so this is the ability to, when somebody is watching your video, if they are currently connected via their Facebook profile was in the demo, we will be able to pull their name, their image, and as William is suggesting their location, and that would allow you to use those variables in different overlays and locks. So instead of the overlay being generic, saying, hey, give me your email. It could say, hey, Peter, give me your email. So that's something that we have sitting in the background, but haven't dedicated much attention to lately, since we haven't gotten any feedback with regards to that. But good to hear that you guys are interested with that. So let's see. Dean has a question for future feature. Will you ever have the ability to create categories, cats, dogs, birds, etc., so we can have videos in these categories and use your code to post on website? Once on website, viewers will see the categories and select cats, dogs, birds, etc., and see all of the videos in that category. Why would you not be able to? I see, because that would require automatic updates and blah 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 blah. Something we haven't necessarily given much thought to. I see kind of the benefit of this, sort of building like a visual portfolio type of a website. So if you had here all of the different videos in this category. From our side of things, we would have to facilitate the display of that, the updating of that, then the video of that. So perhaps one easy way that could work would be through something like YouTube handles related videos. That might be a way to do it. We really kind of need to kind of investigate what the interface would be around that. I'm not saying we're opposed to that. It's just that pretty much you're the only person asking for it, and it's a pretty big change with regards to how VooPlayer is constructed and how it works. So currently, you have one player or one embed code, and you have one video. So with the exception of playlists, but playlists wouldn't necessarily be automatically updated just by tagging them in a specific category. So that's kind of the downfall of that. But yeah, I'll note it down, and we'll come back to that. All right, let's see. Dave is saying also personalized via Aweber. So in 2018, one of the major pushes that we want to have is the ability to select one autoresponder or one customer relationship management system. And we're yet not necessarily 100% on what that is going to be, but we want to select one and really start mapping with it. Mapping our user data to that CRM in order to provide some advanced tagging capabilities, personalization capabilities, custom segmenting capabilities, different triggering of broadcasts and automations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not sure if Aweber is going to be that autoresponder, and I'm pretty confident that it won't be. So currently we're looking at HubSpot, and we're looking at MailChimp as a possible primary integration. So currently all of the integrations which are facilitated within VooPlayer are pretty basic and are just allowing you to pass forward with the email and the name which is captured on the opt-in form to those integrations, or otherwise to those autoresponders, as well as there's an ability to do that via Zapier. So some sort of a communication which is both-sided, rather than us just giving the email to MailChimp, but also getting some data back from MailChimp and then populating that back and updating customers and so on and so on. That's expected to come down the line sometime in mid to late 2018. So definitely stay tuned for that. Alan is saying, is that just an API such as MailChimp's API? Part of it is the API, and part of it is us mapping to that API. There's also some advanced, and that's what I was just referring to. That communication does not necessarily need to be one-sided with us just passing the data to MailChimp, but we can also utilize MailChimp get the data back on existing customers. So in the personalization scenario, if we captured somebody's email, or if a person watching the video is already in MailChimp on one of your lists and you've gathered additional information on them, then we can pull data from MailChimp and utilize that in the video. For example, if somebody is already subscribed to one of your lists, we don't necessarily need to show them the opt-in log which subscribes to that list, or even better, we don't even need to show them that video, so we can load a different video source if they're already subscribed to that list. And I mean, the capabilities there are infinite, as you're starting to see probably. So again, something that's being developed in 2018, but we're not 100% on what provider is going to be first in that queue, as well as what all that is going to entail. Alan, so at the moment, I just drops into a list on MailChimp for email capture. Yeah, so currently the integrations are there to allow you with quick integration of, sorry, not quick integration, but quick capturing of everything that VooPlayer gathers within your autoresponder. So that's how all of those are currently functioning. With the exception of Zapier, where you can do whatever you want with that captured email. Kevin, some APIs don't like the new code, so I have to use the legacy script. Any update on that? Oh, not sure I understand, Kevin. Could you elaborate that a little bit? Some APIs don't like the new code, so I have to use the legacy script. What is the new code and what is the legacy script? So first thing that comes to mind when you mention that, Kevin, is the ability to publish videos as a regular embed code or as a fallback code. So that's the only thing that comes to my mind when inserting code. When inserting the code into a page, I have to use the fallback script to insert the video. Yeah, all right. So that has nothing to do with APIs. So the APIs are really the back-end communication between the systems. So once something has already happened and it's been stored on our server, we use the APIs to communicate or pass on that data somewhere else. The purpose of the fallback code and the embed code is to differentiate the way in which VooPlayer is loaded on just on the front end. So there's nothing necessarily different on the back end. So the difference in between using the this code and the not the floating video, but the fallback code are basically there only with one major difference, and that is the script element, which by some third-party providers. So we had this week, as I was saying, we had a bunch of users who were using e-learning platform called Invento, and Invento prohibits you to insert a script element from a third-party service. It just considers it as a potential security violation, so that's why you're not able to do that. So with that in mind, that's why we provided the fallback code, which as you can see does not have that script element. Now the fallback code, within itself, is somewhat limited because it does not have that script in order to provide some advanced features such as the ability to float the video and do some fancy stuff with full screen and so on and so on. So if you are forced to use the fallback code, Kevin, do reach out to us at support@VooPlayer.com. Give us the URL to the page where you are embedding VooPlayer. And also, if possible, provide us with the capability or the credentials needed for us to edit that page on that platform where you're not able to use the regular code, so that we can dive a little bit deeper into how we can facilitate that. Yes, this is exactly the problem. Some websites think the script embed is a security violation. Right. So, I mean, if they are not allowing you to utilize something that we have as an option and is required for Vue Player to work, then you are kind of forced to go with the fallback code. So I'm trying to just address your question because you asked some APIs don't like the new code, so I have to use the fallback code. Any update on that? I'm just not sure as far as what kind of an update are you expecting. There's not going to be necessarily any updates except for a couple of tweaks. For an example, with the fallback code, we saw some issues with this week. Also, we saw some issues with the ability of the fallback code to play the videos as expected on iOS devices, on iPhones primarily. And that's something that we tweaked. So whenever we get feedback that the fallback code is not necessarily working, there's definitely going to be some limitations because it's not going to be able to do everything that the regular code can do, because it has this script which allows it to do whatever it wants with your web page and position the player and so on and so on and so on. So some of those things are not going to be necessarily provided for in the fallback code. But with regards to just the basic functionality, if you are having issues with the fallback code, do let us know. Let us know what are the problems you're facing, where you're facing them, and potentially how we can access and troubleshoot those issues for you. So that way we can hopefully resolve the issues with the fallback code. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. Let's see. This is a silly one. I don't necessarily want to get to that. Why not? I just saw another question in our support with regards to the ability to change the thumbnail of the video. I think everybody here will be fairly aware that you are just able to come over here to custom thumbnail and just provide any image or via URL or by uploading it, and that's going to be the thumbnail and the poster for your video. Kevin, yes, this is exactly the problem. Some websites think the embed is, yeah, no, sorry, I already read that. All right, let me take one more final look. Last chance for any questions. Unless you have any pressing issues, we're going to start wrapping this up for today. I want to thank you for joining today and taking the time and providing the feedback and asking all of these great questions. Hopefully, we'll see you next week as well, when hopefully we'll have a little bit more about the new stuff and some of the announcements that we're planning, both with the team enhancements. We're going to have a new developer joining soon, so that's going to be an announcement soon. And that's it, I think. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.